From the moment we met, there was an instant connection.
Kate Major exclusively tells our Ken Baker about the reported romance between her and Jon Gosselin, the relationship that cost her her job and her privacy.
I'm out in LA. I'm watching all this kind of go down. It seemed like it was madness.
It's been a complete whirlwind these past 2 weeks now. I wake up some days and I think, what was I thinking?
Kate's story begins on July 17th, 3 weeks after Jon and Kate Gosselin announced plans to divorce. Major was sent to the Jon and Kate Plus 8 home in Pennsylvania on assignment from her employer, Star Magazine.
Were you like, oh, you know, I guess I gotta go to Pennsylvania, or were you looking forward to doing it?
Kind of. I was kind of annoyed, actually, because, and I had even joked with people at the office and said, oh God, what am I, the next Kate?
What was your impression of Jon before you met him?
I really just kind of viewed him like any other celebrity. But after I met Jon in person, I was really, really impressed, and I still am with the person that he is.
Were you attracted to him at first?
I was.
And surprisingly, after knowing her just a few hours, Jon invites the reporter out to a group dinner.
He did offer to drive to the restaurant so that we could take one car. He knew the area, so it was more convenient than for me to follow him because I didn't know the area.
What did you guys talk about?
He talked about his kids a lot, and he still does. He did talk about Haley in the beginning.
Haley Glassman is the daughter of Kate Gosselin's plastic surgeon and is also the woman Jon began stepping out with even before the official announcement of his divorce.
At that point, it's not romantic between you, it's kind of professional.
Right, it was completely professional.
But the tide begins to turn the following night when this photo was taken, leading many to believe Jon may be cheating on his girlfriend, Haley.
This is when it kind of got difficult because I had to interview them together.
More on that coming up later in the show.
I wanted to see what he was all about. I wasn't there to land the story, even though that is my job.
Kate Major speaking exclusively to us about her second night out with Jon Gosselin, an evening that would change the reporter's life.
Would I do it again? Probably not.
It was July 18th, just one day after meeting. Kate was back to work in New York, and Jon was in the Big Apple too, doing a shoot for his TLC show, Jon and Kate Plus 8. Kate invited Jon out to dinner with some friends, and surprisingly, Jon accepted, even though he just got back from France with 22-year-old Haley Glassman.
That was sort of the first kind of romantic date.
Yes.
So you kissed.
You know, I don't want to go into any details.
The very next day, this photo goes public, showing Jon and Kate leaving the restaurant. And that same day, Kate has to interview both Jon and Haley.
It seems like it would be really uncomfortable.
Yes.
And awkward.
It was, but work comes first.
Were you falling for him?
I was falling for Jon at that point. It wasn't planned. It was crazy.
So crazy that a date in New York that Monday night turned into a trip to the Hamptons.
I ended up calling my best friend, Erin Muller, who's Michael Lohan's fiance, and I just said, you know, could we maybe come out there?
Kate spent the next few days with Lindsay Lohan's father, Michael, his fiance, and Jon, while many wondered what was going on with Jon's supposed girlfriend, Haley.
What was the status of the relationship at the time?
I'm not sure. You would have to ask them.
What's it like to date Jon Gosselin?
He's great. You know, he's a great, great guy. I wish I could think of something wrong with the guy, but there really isn't.
Does he open the door? You know, does he?
No, we run into a door. There's no, that's the other thing. It's kind of hard to be romantic when you're being followed constantly. I did follow my heart. Yes, as a journalist, it was overstepping the boundaries. Yes, I did make a mistake.
Reporter Kate Major on the record for the first time about getting involved with Jon Gosselin after being assigned to interview him for Star Magazine.
Jon and I happened very quickly. I even said to him, I feel like I've known you my whole life.
But while Kate's romantic life was going well, the rest of her world was starting to crumble.
What was the low point?
Having to resign from my job, I just felt it was obviously a conflict of interest, to say the least.
Kate's resignation, paired with word of her dating Jon when many thought he was with 22-year-old Haley Glassman, caused many stories to be written about Kate, and most of them weren't positive.
A lot of hurtful things have been said about you.
They had accused me of being an escort. This, by far, is the most false accusation.
People are saying, oh, you know, she's a partier and she had a drinking problem. address that?
Of course, I had fun in high school and in college. I do not have a drinking problem. I do not have a drug problem.
Negative things were also written about Haley when she and Jon started being pictured together. Kate says she feels badly about that, but
We're definitely not in this together.
And what about the other woman in Jon's life, his estranged wife, Kate?
Have you ever met Kate?
No.
Do you think you will meet Kate?
Maybe down the road.
Was it just that he and Kate were a bad match?
People grow apart, people change. But as a mother, he speaks very highly of her.
Jon also spoke to Kate about going through a very public divorce.
He expressed to me how difficult it's been for him with media constantly surrounding him. And after spending a week with him straight, I pretty much can see how difficult it is.
In fact, Kate says the media's focus on her has actually driven her from her home.
It's been really hard. I've pretty much had to go in hiding.
Speaking of Jon Gosselin, would you ever date him? It could happen. Here's what the viewers are saying at the Las Vegas Hard Rock Hotel and Casino.
Would we date Jon Gosselin? Hell no.
Hey, ugly. I don't want Kate on my ass.
Yeah, I would date him. He's pretty hot. His ex-wife is pretty lame, so yeah, we would date him.
Hell no would I date Jon Gosselin.
I wish him a scorching case of herpes. That's how I feel about Jon Gosselin.
Kate is better off without Jon
Thank you.
Gosselin.
Seriously.
Totally.